I guess so. I guess I can think of a couple off the top of my head. Listen, I think when you're out there competing, you speed up a little bit. That's the natural thing. And so, like, being in these environments and learning how to, like, still go out and just play within yourself is a learning. It's a learning experience. I thought today was a good day for us. You know, not necessarily from that, but now that I think about it, that also. But you know, the amount of reps we got today, a good football team. It was a good test for us today. It was a lot of good work.
Do you feel like you guys will kind of put your heads together and maybe in a meeting and have resolve to play cleaner ball tomorrow when you come out here against these guys tomorrow?
Honestly, like I think you do that every time you go and look at the tape, as you're trying to clean stuff up. But like I said, I mean, ultimately, like, you're here to kind of find out a little bit about yourself and grind a little bit and have a tough day. And I really do think that when we look at the film, we're going to be able to find out a lot about, you know, what we are, and then just going through that together and, you know, having a good, like I said, good, tough, competitive practice. I think it was a good day for us.
Did you sense a difference in intensity even from last Wednesday to this Wednesday, you know, the one in Carolina today?
No, it was just a little bit different practice setup. So it just kind of goes a certain way a little bit like that, you know. I think last week, you know, we came out and did a couple 7-on-7s and a couple teams, and it was pretty kind of just like, all right, boom, boom, boom. And this week we kind of came out and had like a pretty traditional training camp practice where we're able to grind it through stuff a little bit. And anytime you have those practices where you're running 80 plays, you know, you're going to have some ugly and you're going to have some good, and that's why it's about the competition, and it's about kind of finding out a little bit about what we are.
Joe, I know you didn't really get to see your own defense today, but watching them, it looked like the guys up front got quite a bit of pressure and found some success on the other field. So just how formidable have they looked throughout camp and deep so far?
We've been going against them every day, honestly. And listen, I think if you look at both of these teams, they got some really good players up front. That's where football starts. It starts up front. So if you can get those guys going, you have a really good shot to be a good football team. And I think we got one. So.
What do you think you found out about yourselves today as an offense? You learned some things.
I think we found out, like, hey, we can push through some stuff. I think we also learned that, man, we need to learn that to a certain extent. We need to learn how to push through a little bit better, and you know, and stuff like that. But ultimately, it was good. I think it was a lot of good came from this practice. You need to have these types of days where you come out here and grind a little bit, and listen, like, we were going at a pretty fast pace here too, like on our side of the field, you know. So we were grinding. Like, I think everybody on that field could feel that a little bit, and we want to be a team that plays with that. So that's a positive, to be able to go out there and run that many plays in that time frame and be clean in the operation. I think that was really good. I think you could feel that on both sides of the ball, where guys, you know, it felt like we were running a lot of plays. But it went both ways. I think it was, like I said, I keep saying it, but it was a good test for us, and I think we found out that, like, hey, we got some guys that can kind of push through this if when we need to. So.
Joe, you've been in this league a long time, obviously. You've seen so many different versions of training camp, joint practices, all that. What do you feel, given your experience, like you specifically, individually, and a team gets out of a joint practice versus like even a preseason game or just like your standard training camp practice?
Yeah, I think sometimes, you know, I would say I've never loved, like, traveling and going and doing a practice against somebody else, but it's kind of what we talked about earlier. You know, you have to, in order to play this game at a high level, you have to be able to compete, but also not have your mind racing and get so revved up. Like, it's such an emotional game, right, for pretty much every position on the field, and you have to bring that to the field. But how do you play with that emotion, but also be within yourselves and within the scheme and within all that, and then just concentrate on the basics of catching the football and running with the football? Like, how do you balance both of them? And I think being in an environment against a different team, it gives you, like, that experience, and then you can look back on it and say, man, why did I do this thing extra this time when I normally would have just taken 4 steps and caught the ball? Why did I decide to do a little bit extra at the top of my route? Next time I won't do that. Like, you don't need, you know, like, so anytime you have, like, actual competition, I think when you have guys that are willing to, like, work through it and know that it's not always going to be pretty, you find out a little bit about how to, like, actually go into that competition and still relax and play.
Obviously, this quarterback situation has been kind of unique right from the start. The numbers with the 2 drafted rookies with you coming back. As it has played out and some of the injuries have shifted the dynamics, how different has it felt to you? How has it affected your preparation?
It's interesting. I mean, I think you can probably sit up at night and think about different ways to approach these types of things, but all I'm doing is going out there and trying to take advantage of whatever I'm doing. I'm preparing as normal, training camp as normal. Whenever I get the rep, go out there and do the best you can. Play within yourself, relax. I think it is hard when you're only getting a couple reps here and there, because you try. It goes back to you try so hard to be perfect, and then usually you end up hurting yourself a little bit. But the last couple of weeks, honestly, I mean, it's been pretty good for me. I've got to get more reps and get comfortable, and feel like I'm doing things at a pretty high level, so I can't complain.
At the same time, they don't have obviously a competition going on. Look like Hurts had 90% of the reps today. How does that contribute to the rhythm of the offense, not just you?
Yeah, no, that's big. Like it's obviously advantageous to have a guy back there 90% of the time, and you get going with everybody. You get to hear the cadence. You get to see how he operates and see how he does through tough times and good times. And yeah, that's all great. But in this league, the situation isn't always just laid out for you perfectly. You got to be able to adapt, and there's no excuses once it all starts. It's about winning football games no matter what, and that's the way I approach it.
Joe, Shador, the team told us that Shador suffered an oblique injury in early throwing drills. I'm just wondering, you know how tough that must be on Shador to have to deal with something like that. But did you have any words of encouragement for him? Did you know that was going on? And just kind of, what are your thoughts on?
Yeah, he said something about it, and I don't know what can I do. Oh man, sorry, man. It's kind of tough. We all want to be out there and getting reps, but hey, that's what training camp and football is all about. Sometimes these things happen. Sometimes you got to deal with them, and it is what it is.
Dylan's coming back, from a hamstring. How have you noticed him kind of progressing? As he's gotten back into a flow of getting more, team rep type of stuff.
Me and Dan were just laughing. You guys like to ask me about these guys, and what if I just said honestly though, guys, we're in that room together and we're all doing things together. But when it comes out in this field, I'm not super worried about what Dylan's doing to get back from his hamstring. I'm focused on us getting better and us doing the best we can against Philly, and that includes him. You want to see him get out there and have good reps and do those things. But as far as him coming back and getting ready, listen, I know he's itching to get back out there. Anytime that when you're young and you're in a quarterback room that's having a competition and you don't get to be out there every day, that's tough. So my message to him would just be hey, don't press. Just go out there and be yourself. Just because you missed a little bit of time here and there, that doesn't mean that you have to go out and do extra when you get out there. Just go play your game, And so if there was a message for him, that would be it.
From a measuring stick standpoint, how valuable is this to go against the number one defense from last year, the Super Bowl champions, for you guys to really see where you're at?
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes when you get in practices like this, I don't know if you can truly say, oh man, we won today or we lost today, but you can find out about how tough guys are and the guys that stick it out and really stick their nose in there and step up to the occasion of playing against a good team, and they're not afraid to do it. And, you don't think that would happen at this level where you get guys that maybe get a little bit timid in certain situations. But, hey, people are, there's human nature in some things. So I think you get to find out a lot about the mental makeup of your team in these environments. And, once again, I think that was a good job for us today.
Just a couple more. What was your impression of the Eagles' defense? They've had a lot of pieces change since last year.
For sure. It's such a small sample size. They look like they have some dudes up front, and they have some experience in the back end, whether that's experience of years in the league or just guys that have a good feel for the game. And they're very well coached. I know that. So they got a lot of things going for them.
Kevin said early on in camp that he wants to make a decision on who the starter is sooner rather than later. Do you kind of get the sense that, especially knowing next week he kind of likes to treat it as like a dress rehearsal, that this week is going to sort of set the stage for that decision to be made?
Kevin's Kevin, man. He's the one in charge, and I'm not really looking into when he's going to do things and why he's going to do things. As I've said, I'm just kind of going out there and being myself, and feel really confident about what I've been doing. So that's all I can do.
Very good.
Okay, thanks
all right,
so much.
thanks, guys.